Today I'm going to make a recipe that I've been waiting to make for a long time. I've had to wait until it gets a little chilly outside, and it's finally chilly outside. And speaking of chili, that's what I'm making today. My world famous keto chili. Hey, this is Victor with your Best Body Blueprint, and welcome back to my channel. My chili recipe has got a lot of ingredients that you would expect to find in chili. There's a lot of ingredients you would not expect to find in chili. I'm really excited to bring this one to you. I think you're going to love it. And make sure you watch this video till the end, because I'm going to throw a couple of hints in about what my next video is going to be. There are 0 recipes on the entire internet for what I'm going to make. Make sure you check this out all the way to the end. We'll go ahead and get into this. I'll show you all the ingredients you're going to need to make this world famous keto chili. Is it world famous? It's world famous in my world, and I hope it will be in yours too. Y'all enjoy this. Let's get right into it. The first thing I want to show you is all the meats that you're going to need for this world famous keto chili. You're going to need some bacon. This is the double thick butcher's cut from Smithfield. Use your favorite bacon. You're going to need some regular ground beef, some 80/20. You're also going to need a leaner cut of beef, like this ground sirloin right here. This is a 90/10. It's just for a different flavor. You're going to need some sweet Italian sausage, or use your favorite kind of sausage. I think the sweet is really good. I'm going to be adding some heat, so I don't use the spicy in this. You're going to need a pork chop, and you want some thin pork chops. This one's a little thicker, and so I'm going to cut that in half and cube it up for this recipe. And then my secret ingredient here are these beef little smokies. Now these last 2 ingredients may sound a little odd, something that you don't find every day in chili, but I promise you, when you try it like this, you won't want to go back to any other way. Now what I'm going to do is get the Dutch oven on the stove, and I'm also going to do another pan. Now you can cook your bacon in here, but of course I cook my bacon the easiest way that I can cook it, which is in this microwave bacon cooker. Now if you don't have one of these, why not? It's like $10, and it is literally the easiest way that you can cook bacon. So I'll put a link to it down below if you don't have one. But I'm going to start this first while I'm getting all my other ingredients together and get this bacon cooked. We're going to save the bacon grease. Normally I put it in my bacon grease container, but today I'm going to pour it right in that pan that we got on the stove, because we're going to use that in the chili. Now let's get together the vegetables we're going to need. The first thing is a can of crushed tomatoes. That's 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes. You're going to need a can of tomato sauce. This is 15 ounces. I get this at Walmart. You're going to need Rotel, and I like this fire roasted diced tomato. This is just a regular 10-ounce can. You're going to need some stewed tomatoes. Again, this is Walmart special, 14.5-ounce can. You're going to need either these jalapeno slices or the diced pickled jalapenos. I had this on hand, so I'm just going to dice it up myself. You're going to need the hugest Vidalia onion you can find, or whatever sweet onion you have available to you. I just like the sweet onion for a little bit more flavor. You're going to need a bag of these mini sweet peppers. And then my recipe calls for the beef better than bouillon, but I had this seasoned vegetable one on hand, so I'm going to use it. I'm just going to put a little bit of this bone broth concentrate in there to up that beefy flavor. Now I know a lot of my recipes are easy. This one's a little more involved, but I promise you that when you try this, it's going to be worth it. It makes a huge batch, so you can freeze some, or hey, if you're really hungry, just go ahead and eat the whole thing. But if you do, please leave me a comment, because I've never seen anybody that can eat more than a bowl of this, because it is so hearty, so good, and it is definitely filling. So I'm going to put those to the side, and I'm going to get the spices together and show you what all we use for spice. Now here are all the spices you're going to need. If you don't like some of these, you can leave them out, but I would not recommend it. The combination of all of these spices works so well together to make this the most delicious chili that you're going to eat. So you're going to need some smoked paprika. You're going to need some garlic powder. You're going to need ground cumin. You're going to need ground white pepper. And this Badia brand is really good, by the way, because it is affordable. It's about half the price of most of the other spices out there, and the quality is just as good. You're going to need some onion powder. You're going to need some minced garlic. You're going to need some pink Himalayan salt or Redmond sea salt, whichever you prefer. You're going to need some ground black pepper. You're going to need some of this Hershey's dark cocoa powder, unsweetened, of course. You're going to need some cayenne pepper. You're going to need some chipotle powder, some chili powder, and some dark chili powder. The other thing you're going to need is some ground cinnamon. And I'll tell you about these chili powders. You can use whatever you have. The only thing that is essential, in my opinion, is just a regular chili powder. This dark chili powder is what is going to make all the difference in this. I get this at Walmart, and you would think dark chili powder is going to be really, really spicy, but this is actually a milder chili powder, and it really gives it a great flavor and a good backbone to this chili. Now, there is one other thing that you're going to need from your cabinet, but I'm not going to tell you right now. It's a secret. You're going to have to watch the video for it, but I promise you it's going to be a game changer for chilies, for marinara sauces, for anything you make that may have a little acid in it from some tomatoes. So watch the video and find out my tip, and it will change the way that you do chilies and sauces from now on. I'm going to put this recipe down below, so I'm just going to measure everything out and we're going to dump it in. I dump all these at once. So there's various opinions on how you should make chilies, if you should do one spice dump and then another one. I have found in testing all my recipes out over the years that this is the best way to do it. So I'm just going to measure them all out, put them together. I'm going to dump all these in at once. So all I'm doing with these peppers is just cutting the ends off of them, and then I slice them in half lengthwise, and I use this slap chopper that I've already done the onions with to dice them up. So to prepare the meat, the only thing you need to do is cube up pork chops like that. And then with these little smokies, you want to cut them in half lengthwise like that. And then cut those halves in half again the same way. This is just going to give a great texture to this chili and just add a different dimension from what a lot of people are used to. If y'all are not subscribed, please take just a second and subscribe and hit the little bell icon that's down there, so anytime I upload a new video, you'll know about it. So the first thing I want to do is turn my Dutch oven on a medium. I'm going to go ahead and dump these spices in here. Now, this is a technique that is used a lot in Indian cooking. You're going to dry roast these spices just for a minute to bring out all the flavor. So we're just going to let that kind of come in on medium just for a minute. So once you start to smell these spices, you're going to go in with just a tiny bit of olive oil. You don't need a lot of extra oil because you're going to have all the meat in here. So you just want to kind of use your nose on this, and once you start smelling all those spices start to come out, then they're toasted, and we're going to add the olive oil in. All right, so I'm starting to smell that pretty good. I'm going to go in with just a tiny bit of olive oil. And just stir that around like that. Then I'm going to start bringing in my meats. I'm going to dump in my ground beef. Bringing in my ground sirloin. Throw that right in there. I'm going in with this Italian sausage. Make sure you pull that paper out. You definitely don't want to eat that. But I do want to get all that pork sausage in there. I'm going to come in with my big board here. Go ahead and put the pork chops in. And I'm going to hang on to these because these are already cooked. I'm going to put those in as soon as all this meat is cooked. So while all this meat's cooking, I'm going to go to this back burner here. I'm going to turn that on a medium. I've got the bacon grease from where I cooked the bacon in the microwave. So all that's in there. I'm going to let that come up to temperature. And I'm going to put the onions and all the peppers in to cook that while this meat's cooking. We'll just break this meat up like that and start cooking it down. Just going to scrape those bits up off the bottom. If it's sticking just a little bit, throw a little bit of water in there just to deglaze it. So where that's sticking right there, just dump that water in. Scrape that up. It's going to add some flavor to that chili. Just don't let it burn because you don't want to ruin the chili. Just keep working that around like that. Keep it nice and scraped up. Just like that. There we go. Now that's looking good. Right, so we're gonna let that sit. Now we got the bacon grease hot now. So I'm gonna go in with all these onions and peppers. We're gonna put those down. So that's a large, huge Vidalia onion, a bag of those sweet peppers, and then a couple tablespoons of that diced jalapeno. Now we're not gonna drain this meat. We're just gonna let it go. It's gonna reabsorb all the juices back into it before we're done. But like I said, just make sure you get all these bits off the bottom and just keep cooking this meat down. We'll go in over here, give this a little stir. Basically what we're trying to do is just sweat this out here. You don't want to brown it or anything. Just kind of get it to release some of the water and cook down to a little better, drier consistency. All right, so now that this meat's cooked all the way through, what I'm going to do, you're going to add, if you've got the beef better than bouillon, you're going to add 1/4 of a jar in there. I've got this vegetable one, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump all of it in. It's a 1/4 jar left. And what I'm going to do to make this a little beefier is add my bone broth concentrate that I like. So just going to add that, about a good couple of teaspoons of that in there. And stir that up pretty good. Just like that, I'm going to go in with the vegetables. I'm going to keep cooking this down just a little bit. See how it's sweating out like that? You got some of that moisture releasing in there. We just want to cook that out a little more, get some of that moisture going. We're going to start throwing in this can of crushed tomatoes. I'm going to throw in these sliced stewed tomatoes. We go in with the rotel. Go in with a tomato sauce, not the lid. And the one thing that I did want to show you that I did not measure is the chili powder, because this is what I do. I'm going to go a good handful of that, 2 handfuls of that, a good handful of this regular chili powder, and then just a little bit of this chipotle. And I'm going to turn this heat down a little bit. I'm going to stir this up. And again, just make sure you're scraping that bottom. You don't want any of this to burn. And I'm going to bring this up to a full boil. And I'm going to show you the trick that I was telling you about earlier in this video. So once this comes up to a boil, I've got 2 teaspoons of baking soda here. I'm going to add a little water to it. And I'm going to stir it up in the water. Then what I'm going to do is add it to this chili. If you have any kind of indigestion problems, now if you're doing keto, you probably haven't had indigestion in quite a long time. But if you're not, and you make this recipe, you may have some indigestion from all this fat in here. So once this comes up to a boil, let me show you what happens. We're going to dump this in. And we're going to stir it up. You see how it foams up like that? You see all that foam? That's eating all the acid out of the chili. You see it'll change color like that. That's when you know that acid's getting neutralized in there. Now the last thing I'm going to do is just dump my vegetables in. It's all my onions and peppers there. And if you've got the time, bring this back up to a boil, and you're going to cook it on a simmer. Once it comes to a boil, you're going to turn it down to a simmer, and you're going to cook it on a simmer for 4 hours. I've got somewhere I have to go, so what I'm going to do is put it in a crock pot. I'm going to put it on low for 4 hours, and then when we come back, I'm going to show you what this looks like, and you're going to love it. So I've transferred this into my crock pot. I've got it on low for 4 hours. I'm going to go ahead and add in all the cocktail weenies, and I'm going to crumble up the bacon that we cooked earlier, put it in there too, give it a stir, put the lid on it, and we'll come back in 4 hours and see what it looks like. Little smokies are in, bacon's in. Let's stir this up proper. Let's put the lid on it. And let's enjoy the way the house smells for the next 4 hours. and we'll come back and check it out. So with about 45 minutes to go, this is when I would recommend opening this up and checking it, giving it a little taste, and adjust for seasonings. So once it's done, you're going to have a little grease on top. You just want to go ahead and stir that in, incorporate it in the chili, and that will make it perfect. It smells so good in here. I wish y'all could smell this. You're just going to have to make it on your own so you can smell it. I really appreciate y'all watching this channel, and I appreciate all the shares that you give me to help spread this message of healthy food and healthy living to as many people as possible. If y'all are not subscribed, please take just a second and subscribe and hit the little bell icon that's down there so anytime I upload a new video, you'll know about it. Got some good stuff coming. You don't want to miss it. When y'all make it, leave me some comments down there. Let me know what you think. It's a really unique chili I think you're really going to love. I'll be uploading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so check them out. Let me know what you think. Get your health right, and one of the steps in doing that is making sure you get your chili right. Thank y'all so much. I'll see you next time.